Hello, everyone. Imitation of Life is a wonderful and heart-wrenching film that explores the idea of identity formation and what it means to be a family. Um, this film is super applicable to several concepts that we've learned in our child development and family program, as well as several theories. To start off, we see elements of dual systems theory as developed by Lawrence Steinberg. So, in that, Steinberg explains that adolescent risk taking is a result of uneven brain development. So, where emotional systems might develop faster than rational control systems. We see this in Sarah Jane's impulsive actions, where she wants to pass as white, where she's running away and rejecting her own mother. It shows a heightened emotional drive and her chasing after social reward with limited impulse control. We also see elements of Erickson's psychosocial theory, specifically the identity versus role confusion stage. So Erickson believed that adolescence is a time for identity formation, so failure to develop a clear sense of self results in role confusion. We see Sarah Jane stuck between two racial identities in a very racist society. She doesn't know where she belongs and attempts to reject her black identity, even though it means denying her mother. We even see different parenting styles come into play. We see Laura uh, display a more uninvolved style from time to time, where she prioritizes her career, leaving Susie to feel emotionally neglected. In contrast, Annie is warm and consistent, embodying an authoritative style. However, this just shows that even the best of attachment styles might not always work with every child and their needs and how they develop. We see attachment theory come into play, where Laura's detachment likely led Susie to forming an insecure attachment. And we see this in her jealousy, her emotional distance, whereas Sarah Jane, despite Annie's warm love, develops an avoidant attachment. Um, we see elements of social learning theory. Bandura emphasizes that children learn behaviors through observing, imitating others, especially authority figures. So Sarah Jane, for example, observes that society values whiteness and that being black brings pain. A heart-moving quote from that film was Annie telling Laura, "How are you supposed to explain to your child that her life is supposed to be pain?" So we see Sarah Jane internalizing all the social learning and modeling her behavior around what she feels society expects of her. This leads to her rejection of Annie and preference for passing as white. We see elements of ecological systems theory, where Bronfenbrenner shares that development happens within a multitude of contexts, from family to society at large. So we see that Sarah, Jane, and Susie are not only affected by their mothers, but by the cultural climate of racism, sexism, and even media images of success. We see elements of cognitive development theory at play, where Piaget describes stages of how adolescents enter the formal operational stage, where abstract thinking emerges. Susie is beginning to understand abstract ideas like love, sacrifice, and social expectations, but she's still processing them emotionally. We see this in her confusion around her mother's fame, and her own feelings towards Steve show that her cognitive maturity is still developing. And finally, we see different parenting models as we've learned in our course, where Bigner and Gerhardt emphasize that effective parenting often requires a balance of nurture and structure with discipline. So we see that Laura offers little nurture or structure but wants to provide materially. However, Annie balances warmth and consistent expectations for Sarah Jane. Despite Annie's best efforts, Sarah Jane still suffers under societal racism, showing that even the best parenting can't fully buffer systemic harm. This film just has a wealth of conversational starters about what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a woman of color, what it means to be a working woman, what it means to even be a family. Um, we would recommend this film to anyone and everyone. This film obviously stands the test of time, and it has wonderful contributions to how we can relay information as parenting professionals.